Mike, y'all, hot mic.
It's a Zoom.
Thank you. All right, thank you for joining us for the East Aurora Village Board meeting, February 5th, 2024. If you could please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, roll call attendance, please.
Trustee Lizickis.
Present.
Trustee Cameron. Here. Trustee Vijay.
Here.
Trustee Flynn.
Here.
Trustee Raby.
Here.
Trustee Shear.
Here.
Mayor Mercurio.
President.
7 present, 0 absent.
Thank you. I get a motion to approve the minutes of the village board meeting for January 16th, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Ernie. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to approve the payment of abstract and vouchers number 64419-64486 for a total of $219,967.96?
So moved.
Moved by Kristen,
Second.
second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Moving on to official considerations. Can I get a motion to approve local law 2 of 2024 for 285-30.5 titled visibility?
Motion.
Moved by Jeff. And is it as written at, what's it written at now? 2 feet? 2 feet? Or do you-
I thought it was 3 feet.
It's written as 2. If you'd like to change it to 3, whoever makes the motion would have to change that.
2.5 or 6 or 1.
I think 3 feet is reasonable. I think it's too restricting to limit the plants to 2 feet. I think there are a lot of plants that, like the Rebecca's and black-eyed Susans, I think they can grow higher than that. I don't think 3 feet's unreasonable. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
I mean,
Do you want to change it to 3 feet?
So exact same wording, just 3 feet height instead of 2 feet
Yes,
height.
that's the motion to amend. Motion to amend.
All right, can I get a second on that?
Second.
Seconded by Ernie. Further discussion?
my concern is safety. That's why it was enacted. Because of the safety concern of people pulling into driveways with the high plants blocking the view of children on the sidewalks. The average height of a toddler at 2 years old is 19 to 30 inches. This would be plants above that height. Little kids can get away from parents pretty quick. There's plenty of plants we could grow that are smaller than that. This is a small amount of yard. It's not a whole yard, it's just that little strip. So my concern is the safety.
So what would you like to see in that?
I would like to see it at 30 inches. 36 seems pretty tall.
Yeah, that's where, I mean, I guess my question is if we're limiting it to 36 inches, but we're not worried about kids under 36 inches, why are we limiting it in the first place?
I don't know if I'd wanna say that we're not worried about kids under.
No.
It's just what he meant to say.
Yes.
So, right, so it was recommended by Rich's department at what, 2 feet
That is correct, yes.
originally? And that's not arbitrary, I assume.
I think the intent of the height was to ensure the aspects of plant life that can exceed a dimension that might not be atypical for that plant, depending on environment. I mean, yes, we could say certain plants are going to grow to a certain length, but sometimes in proper conditions, it may exceed such. So we maintained a height that was a bit lower and half the normal height allowed for a fence, which is 4 feet in the front yard.
Yes,
Yes.
which already exists at 2 feet.
Right. But the corner one, as was mentioned before, has that phrase in there about that less than 10% solid
Get it?
thing, which would be nice to see for plantings. If you can have a fence and you can see through a fence with that, you know, you can see through the spring onions and things of that nature, as long as it's not a hedge. I don't know if you can turn onions into a hedge.
Colleen, Steve, your thoughts?
Torn, between the 2 and 3 feet. I was gonna go with the 3 feet. The, thought of the child being, only 30 inches. is- as far as, letting natural, native plants grow to their full extent in that area. It's not that I don't feel it's important, it was initiated due to safety. You still have a whole front lawn that you could do anything you want with, so I don't see it as inhibiting the but to benefit the pollinator. I'm all about that. No mow me, I'm all on board. I do it to excess. And I don't feel that we absolutely need the 3 foot there if it is gonna still present and I think you got plenty of lawn left to do whatever you want in order to keep the pollinators happy and the native plants flourishing. So, I'm indifferent, 2 or 3. Being the 2 closer to the 2 would keep the height down for the visibility.
Molly, you needed more time on this one.
Yeah, well,
Wrap your head around it?
yeah, I had a couple conversations since the last board meeting. I was actually leaning towards the 3 foot with some density requirements, but if we wanted to go down to 2.5 and not put the density, I mean, I'm up for compromise on it, so. Just in talking to about the plants that would be there. It seemed like just the flowers and the other parts would be the higher pieces, so there wouldn't be the blockage, but I'm certainly open to going down and I don't think we need to go down to 2, but.
Yeah. That's, I mean, I feel like if we can determine how solid a fence is, we can determine how solid plantings are.
It is a lot more difficult. A fence is stationary, it doesn't grow, it's.
Sure.
Measurements are easy, it's much more, 2 things, one, it's much more difficult with plantings. They can move, they can, depends whatever, and number 2, there's nothing in this code in subsection B dealing with street. Which talks at all about. Thickness. Or visibility, it's height only.
I guess that's the
I know
thing.
that's how we've written it.
Can we add
That's
something?
what
in
it
there,
says. Oh, yeah, you can do all sorts of things.
But
But
that we
just so
can
you
still
know-
back up.
Yeah, just so you know, right now. When you're talking corner visibility, it talks in terms of. Solid and,
Mhm.
10% solid. You don't have that with street visibility issue. It's height only. And again, you're talking about the area between the curb and the sidewalk. Or from the roadway if there is no sidewalk.
Right.
That's the only section you're dealing with. You're not, on the other side of the sidewalk, you're toward
Do
the
whatever
house.
they want,
Do
Right.
whatever you want.
Yeah.
Mm.
So there's a motion on the table. Does someone want to amend the motion or go through with it as it is?
As it is now, it's 3.
As it is now. The motion is currently on the table is 3 feet.
We want to compromise to 30.
I'd be okay with 30.
2.5.
No, 30.
Wait a minute, I didn't mean that. I meant 30.
I mean, I like that, and then
I meant,
and then giving the residents an option or recommendations of plants that would meet that requirement that they could plant there. I know we talked about putting something on the website with that, and Nancy sent us over a great resource that we could use to recommend. I mean, my whole lawn is clover. And I get to watch pollinators all year, and that's not growing 3 feet.
Yeah, I think the other communication we had from Mrs. Cunningham, I'm sure that there's plenty that we could
Yeah,
provide for that.
Amend my motion to 30.
Jeff's amending his motion to 30
I'll amend it to 30.
and
30.
30 inches, and Ernie seconded the amended motion. 30 inches. And yes, second amendment. Any other discussion on this before we vote? The roll call vote, Steve,
Aye.
Molly,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Ernie,
Aye.
Grace.
Aye.
Christie,
Aye.
phenomenal. Motion passes at 2.5 feet and for 30 inches. Can I get a motion to approve temporary use permit for the East Aurora Farmers Market?
So move.
Moved by Steve, second
second.
by Grace. Further discussion? This is moved into, moved into the center of the lot. Otherwise, no big changes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Can I get a motion to refer to the planning commission on March 5th, a special use permit for 859 East Fillmore Avenue. Applicant Brooke Langworthy to operate a B&B and Airbnb at their.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Wait, and Airbnb?
Can I get a second?
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion.
Further discussion and Airbnb. I thought we weren't allowing Airbnbs outside. That's not in the main
If it's
street,
owner occupied, right?
not Airbnb.
Rich?
B&B.
Based on the application we got, it was going to be owner occupied and operated from the residents. So I don't know if the Airbnb notation on this agenda was just from a terminology standpoint. But from my understanding, when I got the application, it was just for the bread and breakfast per the definition of our code.
Because there's a distinct difference that we define in our,
Yes.
I think the
It's
permit
listed
mentioned,
in the memo of January 19th, Airbnb.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what, that's why we put it on the agenda that way. It was on the memo.
Uh,
No, I saw it there.
I don't,
yeah, they want to share this with guests through the Airbnb platform.
Yeah.
But if it's a B&B.
so does it matter how they find the people? It just matters how they operate the. So to be designated a bread and breakfast, that, as I understand it in our code currently, you have to stay when your guests stay as
Correct.
well. You don't move out and let them take
Correct.
over your premises.
correct.
So, but the platform that they're finding their customers is Airbnb. So
Yeah, what their listing will say you're staying with and someone's there.
at a bed and
too.
breakfast, so
Well, that the owner's there with you.
correct.
That's how it's listed.
But we shut down other people for the Airbnb thing,
But they're
Right.
not owner.
but they're not
occupied.
bread and breakfast, right? So I'm just,
Well, we're not, I mean,
I just don't like that wording. The and Airbnb on this if we let it go, but unless it is strictly a bed and breakfast, because we've turned other people down.
but we'll see it again. We're just sending it to the planning commission.
If you look at their letter
It's an and.
from the
not
bank
or.
where they use the phrase Airbnb throughout
Mhm.
the document.
Yeah, Chris makes a good point. Let's let planning commission review it and
All right,
see what they say.
Take it down. All right, so moved by Kristen, second by Jeff. Further discussion, anything else? Just referring it to the planning commission for the
Yep.
March 5th meeting. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved? Be on the March 5th agenda. Let's see, can I get a motion to approve a permit to keep 6 chickens, no roosters for George Barbari at 283 South Road?
so moved.
Moved by Steve, second
Second,
by Grace. Further discussion. Here, here. There it is. Right there. Hi. Sure.
Your name,
Tell us what's going on.
name and address?
George Barberi, 283 South Grove. Put the application in for my 4 daughters. I got 2 of the best behaved ones here. You guys want to come up? Come on up.
There you go.
Ladies, can you say hello?
Hi.
Aye.
So we're
Chickens?
Yeah.
You want chickens?
You sure you want chickens?
Well, you don't have to say anything.
Did you pick out a name for your chickens yet? No.
A lot to take care of.
Probably gotta see them first before you can name them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can help clean up after 'em? That's what they say.
They're doing it.
That's what they say
Are
now.
they?
We have it on public record now.
Get that recorded. This is them. It's their deal.
So you have 6 chickens and what'd you do as far as the neighbors, as far as notification, please?
We went around and talked to every neighbor that's within 250 feet of our location. You know, generally very positive, all the feedback. No one had really any issues. You know, bribed a bunch of eggs. To get some might have been a little hesitant, but no problem
Grow 'em.
otherwise. Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, no problems at all.
Yeah, and the big thing is, we wanna make sure the neighbors are okay with it. Cause we actually, it's like the Michelle Schillerman law, it used to be, we had to do like a public hearing and everything, and now. It was her idea to change it, so as long as the neighbors are all on board. And then it's a matter of you guys keeping it clean and everything to make sure we don't get rodents and that kind of thing.
Yep.
You know,
Yeah, conveniently, we picked a snowstorm to get everyone's sign off when everyone was stuck, so that's perfect time.
they're all home, perfect. Anybody have any questions for the Barbarians?
Nope.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Moved by Steve, second by Grace. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Making a motion to approve the budget adjustments for the 2023-2024 fiscal year.
So moved.
Moved by Kristen, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff. Further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Approved. Moving on to new business. Code Red renewal discussion. Maureen?
The supervisor came over and asked if we were wanting to renew this year. The cost would be $3,482.50, which is up about $175 from last year for the Code Red notice system. So I just need to let him know if we want to renew.
How many people do we have signed up currently on Code Red?
I'd have to look up the exacts. I don't have that, but was not a lot of people.
It's like a couple
Couple
hundred.
hundred.
Last I looked,
Yeah.
right, a couple hundred.
Yeah, the majority of them were village
I,
residents.
I'm all for this in a sense, but in another sense, not so much, only from the participation part. And I think it's great vehicle to let people know what's going on in emergency situations, but how do we bolster getting people on it?
I can tell you what we did. I mean, we put up QR codes. We put a QR code in the paper. We've had them around. We've sent them out on every water bill. I don't know that there's a lot more
You can do.
we can do other than like, grab it, like putting up kids in the middle of the room saying, bring your cell phone here and we will put it on there for you. And some people care and some people don't. So there's that.
So the participants were paying a couple $100 a head to do this, to
I-
notify.
It
how
was the
many
first year though, too. I mean, so
Right.
maybe it'll,
grow.
and I think that as more organizations move to it, it becomes more of a norm for people to get stuff through text and. I don't know. I mean, I'd hate to just pull the plug.
No, I don't want to pull the plug. I'm just curious.
Yeah,
like,
no, I think if we could get more people, it'd certainly be
And maybe
a
we,
better ROI per resident
Yeah,
than we're
Right.
getting now, but.
Right.
and maybe we can look into, like, does the company have ideas on how to run a campaign to get more people enrolled in it? I mean, if they're rolling this product out across the country, what's the best practice to get people on board?
I can ask the town if they came up with anything new, but we were, I think, bounds ahead of them last time. So
Can you ask Code Red?
that's who we asked last time. We
Yeah.
did everything that they suggested plus more. So I can ask the town again to see if they have the contact with them. So I can ask the town, but I don't know that it's going to be any different than what we did.
How about Nikon?
How many does the town
Gotcha.
have?
I don't know, but I know we have more.
And they wanna do it still too?
Yeah. Yeah, Luke called me.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm all for the program. I just think we should try to figure a way to get people to sign up.
Yeah, I think if we do a push to get people to sign up this year, do it one more year, and if we have minimal people who appreciate it and like it. I don't know, is it worth it?
Right.
I,
For
I
$4
think that
grand?
every new candidate running for trustee should get their 100 signatures to sign up as well.
Yeah, take that QR code with you.
Anyone in the audience have any experience with code red?
Do they know what it is?
I like the idea. I've been told a couple of times by Luke and I still haven't done it. And I would be told an average 11 times.
We're here for you.
I put them everywhere.
No, no pressure.
Don't give up, like, started good stuff all the time, like just. Probably monthly or.
Just from our past experience with the police department, we had Nixle for several years. It's the same type of thing. We had for years, pushed it everywhere, pushed out advertiser once a year, went to events, put posters up about it, and we topped off at like 400 residents. With one of our previous storms, the town was putting out, a branch down here, a branch down there. That's gonna get more people to opt out, in my opinion. During a storm, you expect that. If you have to go around the block, you go around the block. When the town brought this out, my opinion was if I could have the reverse 911, which we can't because the county has it, that was the only interest I had in it. If we have an active shooter situation, we will call the county and tell them in this area, put out, shelter in place.
And does that go across all phones then? That's like an Amber?
That's a reverse, that's
That-
pushed out to home phones, cell
Every-
phones, everything in a specific area.
They don't have to sign up, it's
No.
all on the.
No,
So that goes to every.
I since Code Red was initiated, I've heard several people tell me, where am I getting these alerts from? Because Code Red, when you bought the service, they brought in a bunch of phone numbers that they bought from marketers or whoever.
Right.
So I don't know. I guess it's nice to put out stuff about garbage is delayed a day because of a snowstorm, but I know personally, I get 2 notifications every time something happens at
Yep.
the school because I have 2 kids in the school. People get overwhelmed by notifications sometimes and tend to turn them off.
I wonder if we could have the QR code at something like 4th of July, something like that, where you've got like a ton of the community out,
Yeah, we can definitely do.
put it
something
near the
like that.
food.
Yep. Put it out near the food. I also think the more that there are events, people might sign up because they hear about it.
Right.
Opposed to really this year, we've only had one event. We did put it out on there. I know people got it because I heard about it, but
How many alerts have we given out? Do
I'm
we
sorry,
know
what?
how many we've sent?
so we try to send them together when possible. So if it's a town and village item, we try to send it out together. The village hasn't sent anything out by ourselves. We've only sent out garbage notices with the town. So, because it was the same information, so we sent it out with them.
And with that, there was complaints. Because a notice was sent out and then some people were upset, well, you never followed up on it. And that gets forgotten after the event happens. I don't
Followed
know.
up in what man?
Is there too many cooks in the kitchen? Cause Shane, you have access to it. and,
Yeah, I don't touch it.
But you have access to it, the
I don't,
post,
but, yeah.
right?
So
And-
our notices all said for further information, please check the village website. That's how we put it out. So on our website, it said it even had a link for the town. The town put it on their website with a link for us. When we put it on our Facebook, we said for further updates, please check the village website. So we didn't have to keep updating Facebook. Well, when the person who put it out on the code red didn't put that, I didn't notice it. And until somebody said something afterwards, they were like, well, we were waiting for an update. And I'm like, well, I thought the notice went out with, check the website.
I'm with Grace. Let's
Give it another year.
Yeah.
give it a year, figure out the kinks, see how many people are at it.
Yeah.
And reassess.
But if
Public
there's a
value.
true large emergency, you can call the county and it can go out to everybody.
Correct. Well, it can go out to a
Can't
controlled
do it.
specific area.
Geographic area. Sounds like that's
Did you put that QR code on the water bills?
what this is. And you already have access.
On every water bill.
This is.
And I did it twice.
Little
Okay.
stuff. Yeah. So I have.
Are everybody's good with keeping code red?
Yeah, I'll try it for another year.
Battery energy storage model law.
Hmm.
Who wants
What's
to,
that?
who wants to touch on that? Maureen or
That's
Chris?
rich.
All right, so in regards to energy storage systems, I only briefly went through that document that was a part of the agenda from New York State. But generally speaking, the International Residential Code and the International Building Code that the New York State does adopt, they do have regulations in there for energy storage systems. Not to the size that's in this template that is provided in the agenda, but basically the code does have requirements in regards to separation. There's some distances, the amount of kWh that you're allowed per battery. So I think due to where the technology is going and where the country's going, I think having something in our code specifically for electric cars, charging stations inside there, that is more defined. Unless, of course, we quote specifically in the IRC/IBC, the sections that are equatable to the systems that more and more people are going to be providing inside their homes.
It's just the first look. I haven't read into the nitty gritty either, but I mean, the purpose of this is for what, like fire safety or to reduce, to monitor draw? Like I talked to firefighters who say they're concerned about solar panels, getting up on a roof, trying to punch a hole in a roof. If they hit it with their axe, it's actually holding on to, right, the electricity that could injure them.
Well, yes, it helps depending on the size of the system. That template, again, it gives you 2 tiers, and even those tiers that they give you from a kWh standpoint is very large. To give you an example, like in the current IRC that's adopted in the state, in a garage, attached garage, as long as it's separated correctly with a 1/2-inch chipboard or 5/8 chipboard, you can have up to 80 kWh of a battery, aggregate of all the batteries. In that template, it talks like 600. That's more what I would call more of a solar farm that's generating a lot of power for a municipality to provide utilities to. Where I think the tier 2 goes into with regards to site plan and so forth.
Chris?
Yeah, if I may, because I'm running into this in other municipalities. In fact, one of them issued a moratorium on any of them pending laws and pending the state of New York, which is currently examining it for precisely the reason you mentioned earlier about the fires. Because there have been multiple fires at battery storage units around the state. And the problem is our companies don't necessarily, especially smaller volunteer companies, don't have the equipment to put these things out at these battery storage facilities, more so than you're talking about the solar farms, because those are popping up, but the actual battery storage things.
I feel like the Teslas can burn for like 24 hours, I thought somebody said.
Now imagine a facility that has 1,000 of those batteries there and pushing power into the grid. I don't know in the village, is there any place where they could like hook into the grid?
Not that I'm aware of.
Yeah. See,
Yeah.
that's what, one of the things that they need for
Mhm.
these battery storage facilities is to be able to hook somewhere into the grid.
Mhm.
And that's what's held up some of them as well at this point. So I was in the process of preparing one of these things. And yeah, I've looked at the NYSERDA one as well. For much larger municipality, because there are a number of concerns out there. I will work with Liz and Rich and put something together that you can then deal with. It will have the components in, you see they have a smaller section here on safety. It will be more extensive than that, because you have to have provisions. These companies coming in, then they have to provide the training, they have to get the supplies to provide them to the local fire companies, because there's no way they're gonna be able to afford it. Just can't. Look at the cost of a fire truck nowadays.
Yeah.
If they pour water on.
Oh, that's a bad idea.
Then you gotta, so then you gotta collect, it's actually.
Well, it's a
becomes
toxic site.
You gotta
It becomes a
collect that water.
toxic site.
Right, yeah,
And now you've contaminated, who knows what, that gets into the,
you get it.
storm sewer,
Water,
it
yeah.
gets
And
into the
groundwater.
Yeah.
groundwater, now you got a
Yep.
situation.
That's why they're working on all these types of things. Like I said, that's why, and I think it was last July that the governor kind of put a halt on some of the stuff too, to allow them to study a little more. So. And I don't know if you want to consider a moratorium, if you're gonna do that, you don't have anything pending now in terms of any applications. So if you want to do a moratorium, so you can have time to review this. And without having anyone put in an application,
I think that's a
That can be
fine
done.
idea.
We can do it now.
well, not right this moment, but
What time it is?
yeah, okay.
All in
It's a local law, there's no other requirements,
Yeah, you good.
I'll put it together so you'll be able to do it,
Everybody good with Chris
Yeah.
proceeding with more?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
all right. Yeah, this is not the first
Yeah.
that's talking about this. This is something,
It's a
especially in the
Pandora's
state of New
box.
York. You're talking about, the goal is to have all electric vehicles, all electric this, that. Power grid is not designed for this yet.
Yeah.
Sounds like a lot of things there.
And then all electric homes starting in what year?
Yeah.
25.
Just wanna roll it out appropriately, as we
Yeah.
learn more about it, make sure we have
Mhm.
everything we need to deal with it.
Yeah,
Right.
laudable goal, but you gotta plan these things out. You can't push them through so quickly that you're like, oops. The surprise.
Yeah, it's a big oops.
All right,
Very good. Anybody else got anything on B before we move on to C?
No.
All right, C, sled library and Hamlin Park discussion. Me and Steve, you guys wanna?
Well, this was brought up in our Parks Committee meeting 2 months or a couple sessions ago. Someone had a great idea where it was done. In another municipality somewhere, that people have a rack with sleds that are available for people to use, mostly children, I would assume. And they can borrow a sled and sled down the hill, and then when they're done, they put it back on the rack in the village park. And right, Steve?
Yes.
And then, we thought this sounds like a nice idea. It's kind of like along the lines of the little book libraries that people have, and encourage, children to play and be healthy, and
Right.
and we thought it was a great idea. We bring it to the board and discuss it. Anything else we have to add, Steve?
No, that's pretty much it. And I forget who was gonna build it and place it. But
It was,
Would
Um,
the resident in the back who lives on the
Oh,
park?
here we go.
I'm Andrea O'Sullivan.
he had
I
a great
live
idea.
at 503 Griggs Place. And through work, I know the tool library a little bit in Buffalo, and they put one of these in Shoshone Park the last few years. So then we were checking it out, and they're in many parks now in snow places like ours. And another family on Griggs is really ready to build it, has wood, we have paint, we're ready to go. And folks are excited to donate sleds, and hopefully these friends who live not far from the park too. It just means you don't have to drag your sled. If you're walking to Main Street, if you're going to the playground, you can run over and have a little fun. And that's really it.
Sledge or-
Yeah. So I think the one question would be, where is it stored in the off season? I'm sure one of the neighbors could store it, but if the village wants to store it, that's, I think, the only real question.
Well,
like
there was a
that's-
liability question as well.
Yes, and places are solving that just by putting use at your own risk on the sign. One of the neighbors who wants to do it is a graphic designer and will make the sign for it as well. And I'm a lawyer as well, Chris, so I appreciate your smile. But,
Here's the only.
you know,
Well, I'm not.
kids sled there anyway. It can
Right.
say from Friends of Halen Park, so it's not the village
When-
providing the sleds, you know.
When Bob and I were all both much younger, we would have said, people don't sue and
Yeah.
it's what
I never-
theoretically,
I
it's a
never said
wonderful. Oh, theoretically, it's a wonderful idea.
Yeah.
The concern is even if you put up the sign, unfortunately, if a young child gets injured, sign is meaningless
Mm.
because you cannot release a child's rights.
Can I just ask you a question though?
Yeah,
Right now, kids sled on that hill all the time.
yeah, but they
So-
supply their own sleds.
Okay, so they sled down the hill and hit one of Hamlin Park's trees, or
That's-
that building that's there, and they get hurt.
Who's on the hook? That's what I was gonna ask
Or
the
if a
same thing.
kid breaks their arm on the sled or on the slide in the playground, is
Yeah,
it different
no,
from
you still
practical
have the
equipment?
same type of liability. It really
Isn't gonna
boils
happen
down
anyway.
to a matter of risk and who's assuming the risk.
Yeah,
You know, if they supply their own sleds and their sled breaks and they're injured, it's not the responsibility of the municipality. If they take a sled there and the sled breaks because we have no responsibility for maintaining it or inspecting it or whatever, then the question comes in, whose responsibility is it? And the deep pockets,
Will be sued.
yeah. And it's an unfortunate circumstance of how things are nowadays. You'd much rather say, look, let's have the things for the children to play at. Let's do this. It may be great, but if I stand up here or sit here and say, look, there's not a liability concern, then quite frankly, I'm not doing my job. But it's just like anything. How much insurance do you have on your car? You make that risk determination based on what your own feelings are toward the situation, and that's, I advise, but ultimately the board can decide.
The board is all for safety of the children, but
Yeah,
there are the risks involved in it, and the sign is not gonna solve that risk.
sure. That's
Can you put it on a nearby public, private property? Like somebody who's right
sure,
close there, get them to
Yep.
agree to have it in the corner of their yard or something, and then it's
yeah,
technically. People are getting sleds that Friends of Hamlin Park put in this
That's-
sled depository on somebody's backyard.
yeah,
You know, like those little book library.
Yeah.
That people
Yeah.
have in their, you know?
then that homeowner only needs to worry about it from their perspective, and that's the problem. It's a fundamental problem.
Does the scenario change if we supply the sleds?
Oh, then you're definitely even.
Then you're definitely on that.
Matt will be inspecting those sleds regularly to determine their worthiness, and I.
Well, I wasn't thinking him. What about the town rec department or something?
Oh,
I mean-
whomever.
I mean, they have that.
Yeah, no, whomever, and then you have the issue of, they all used to be the old wood sleds with the bell of that
The runner
runners,
sled.
yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
My
But
brother's
now
got
a
a
lot of
scar in
them
his
are-
face.
now they're a lot
I'd say-
safer. They're lighter, they don't hurt as
Yeah.
much.
Only inflatable.
Unless they,
I'm just-
unless sitting outside, they get frozen and then they crack and you get a piece of the
Yeah.
plastic goes in you. Hey,
How do you-
if it
That's
doesn't
such an
problem
idea. I
it.
had
Get
it as a
outlaws
kid. I
sledding
don't understand how
all-
these
Yeah,
sleds
no,
break.
that's-
Sounds like it
Yes.
sounds all.
Yeah, no, that's the fundamental problem. It's a question of how much risk you want to accept. Some risk is acceptable and inevitable. It's
We had
life.
any issues there, if it's sledding? Do
Yeah.
you have any history of that, broken arms or whatever? You get calls for that kind of thing?
Not that I'm aware of offhand.
It's a pretty small hill, so I think it's
Yeah.
small and
And-
mostly
Right. that
very
comes in-
small.
Yeah, you
kids,
can't
yeah.
really get
Right.
much speed out.
I definitely sledded into a tree on that hill when I was a kid. That happened.
Kids that small
Uh,
bounce.
I'm all right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
well,
Thank you.
I mean, have you reached out to our insurance company to see if they have any sort of feedback?
I didn't call them. I knew it was liability. I haven't called them yet to see what that would be and what that would equate to cost wise. They do
Do they
make us
care? Do
fill
they
out.
have
Oh, they
riders?
care. They
Are they-
care.
Oh, they will care.
They
They raise our premiums or are they like?
Yeah, 'cause like,
Yeah,
I mean,
don't tell them.
if you have an ice rink, you raise your premium. I mean, anything you have. it
Well, there
will
used
raise
to be
your
a rink
premium
there
For it.
years ago.
The other thing is,
There used to be a rink there years ago.
you take care of
Used to
your
be an
own
ice rink there
sled.
years ago.
You take care of your own sled. These sleds are gonna be in the park and teenagers are gonna be able to mess with them and you don't know that they're gonna be cared for. And I don't know that the function of the DPW would be to check these things. So if they're not being monitored and they're breaking or people aren't taking care of them, or if they're just stealing them outright, I mean, that's the hard part.
You're losing all faith now.
Well.
Well,
I-
look at the crossing flags, you
Yep.
know,
Yeah.
where are they?
Regularly misplaced.
But I've had my students bring, I had a great idea. Everybody bring your sleds. We're gonna go sledding down the hill in the back of the school tomorrow instead of doing class stuff. And they brought them in on the bus. The bus drivers weren't real happy with all the. So I got a phone call in the bus garage about that, but it's a great time. But I never thought about the liability out of it, and we just went and made a blast.
But again, they're bringing their own sleds.
So that makes it,
It makes the difference.
Do you think there's a neighbor in the area who might be willing to house it?
I'm running through, I live on the far side of the park from the hill, so I'm running through the neighbors I know on that side, so we can certainly ask around.
Maybe
Yeah.
vet that before we.
Well, then it's across the
Stop
street.
Grove.
They're taking on a lot of liability.
Yeah, they are.
Right.
too. And
Right.
as an individual, I don't know if I would put myself in that position.
And it's across the street
You
from
got
the
kids
park.
running
You
across
want
the
it,
street,
right,
get a
you want
sidewalk.
it there. If it's gonna be there, you want it.
Okay,
All right, but wait, so do
I
you
love
say
the
you've
idea.
asked the insurance company?
Oh, I have
Or is
not.
that's what would have to do? Okay.
No, we don't.
Do you have to? The answer.
No.
is
No.
I can tell you what the response will be.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
won't like the response.
No, I get that too.
It really boils down, for example, you mentioned the hill isn't all that large or, not much of a slope. That goes into play in terms of what your risk is. I mean, the steeper the slope, the greater your risk. The more trees around, the greater your risk. The more other things around, the greater your risk. Yeah, you start eliminating all those things, your risk decreases.
Yeah, it's.
You can't eliminate it totally.
There's
It's
barely a
impossible.
grade at all. There's nothing in the way except the nearest thing is probably the building. Matt,
Building.
Are we still, we're not doing the hay bales in front of it anymore? Was that us that was putting those there?
There's really no snow to speak of, sir.
I was there
Oh,
a few
that's
weeks ago
what
when
we
it had
said.
snow and kids
Yeah.
were sledding. It was my first time cross country skiing. And
Oh.
there was no hay bales or anything against the building. I mean, is that something that we do regularly or do we not do that anymore?
I don't believe we've done that in a number of years, but we can.
I just assumed someone was doing it for a reason on the corner of that brick building.
and then if I may, there's one other park neighbor idea, why not throw in another one? But of course, everyone loves the sidewalk plow and some neighbors were asking, could the sidewalk plow go around the Hamlin Park track? I know that Elma Village Green does that and lots of walkers and
Oh, we
strollers go.
already got the answer for that.
Oh, you
earlier.
did? Okay.
No, it's because we.
We'll chew it up.
Yeah, it'll
Okay.
chew it up, the freeze thaw and all that.
Yeah, with the freeze thaw, after removing all the snow, it really lends itself to potholes.
Okay. Just curious. Yeah. All right. Well, I'll leave you to your liability.
Someone does that in your
They do. Yeah. We used to live near there and they
Yeah.
clear it and
Is
people
it
go.
back
They
there?
didn't in the last snowstorm. My mom
Oh,
walks the dog there and
yeah.
was not pleased.
But a lot of winter they did.
Yeah.
But I'll leave you to your liability conclusions here.
Thank you, Andrew. Chris.
That's
Yeah.
Fun police.
too bad.
All those sad children.
I want the seventies back again. I want to, the
Oh,
world
no, you gotta
of lawn charts.
go back into the 60s.
Lawn charts and all kinds of fun stuff that isn't allowed anymore.
Metal dashboards.
Yeah. Crazy.
I was a goalie. I was a great goalie.
And hockey with no helmet, no face mask.
All right.
Yeah.
Sled library and Hamlin Park discussion. So. We're gonna leave that one hanging on the
Hey.
line.
Yeah, let's leave that hanging for a little bit.
Anything else to add?
2 more meetings. We won't have to worry about it till next year.
No,
It's optimistic.
No old business. Let's see, before we go into our department head report, anybody from the public want to speak on any topic? All good? All right. Department head report, no parking here at corner sign request of Gingrich Auto Care on Elm Street. Hey, congratulations, Barberries, on your chickens. Good luck with them. Enjoy. All right, no parking here to corner sign request of Gingrich Auto Care on Elm Street. Follow-up was 150 feet they want, right?
That one?
The length of their property is what they want.
You guys find out?
Well, after the last meeting, what Liz said that per their special use permit, they have, they're supposed to have access to their entire property. It's not really a safety concern at that point. It's up to their the length of their 149 feet. I mean, if they have to have access to it, kind of, the village has to limit the parking there.
What's the, not to pretend the spot, but what's the law as far as how close you can park on a curb to an intersection? I know a stop sign is like 20 feet, right?
It's, I think it's state law without anything else. It was 15 feet or
From
20
a
something.
four-way light like that? It just seems like a big intersection.
Yeah, I would have to look it up, but,
Those cars are pretty close on Main Street to that corner.
yeah, I mean, right in front of the gastro pub, they're right
They're
there.
right there.
Mhm.
So.
But their special use permit precludes all this because we
Right.
have.
Yeah, it just says they have to have access to the whole place. They have to have access.
Which I feel for them too, because they do have a ton of cars coming in and out of there and it's weird, the sidewalk, there's no real definition. It's like, hey, there's no real definition of where the sidewalk is, where that is.
Right.
And when people park on that street, they don't give a crap where they park. They just put half on the sidewalk, half
This is
here.
a country curb.
It's
Nothing to swell.
absolutely, and that would inhibit his ability to do business.
I mean, I
The problem
spoke
is-
to Liz about it the other day and she felt that even a sign, a no parking sign could cause him issues, but I mean, you gotta do something.
Wait. Say that again. No parking
That,
sign?
that a no parking sign could partially block his egress, but,
Oh.
you gotta,
Do
you
something.
can't just paint it on the road and hope people
Well,
pay
you can
attention.
do it at
Oh, the
the-
yellow stripes?
You
I
can do
mean,
it
No parking here.
south,
You're gonna
here to
paint that all
corner,
the time.
right? I mean,
Right.
for the whole thing, right?
Right, that's what we'd have to do is,
Yeah.
Matt would have to put in a sign.
And even if you let people park up there, that's a tight little turn in there, isn't it? Or
Yeah,
off of
and
it?
I don't think you generally see people parking up there in front of his business.
Not really.
It's closer to the art.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You,
To put a no parking here to corner sign to match the special use permit he got approved 40 years ago by the village board.
Put in the
If
no
your local law doesn't have it as a specific provision for no parking, then yes, you have to do a local law. I don't know what it says for that.
Somebody dropped the ball in the 80s.
Somebody has to, whatever, we can do a local law and correct it right now.
You're right. This is not a huge deal.
But we'd have to go through the process. So if that's what you want to do, I will set it up to start next time.
Anybody have an issue with Ingrid getting the no parking here to corner
I think
149
it's a good idea.
I don't
No,
see how we
if it's on
can't.
their permit,
Right.
let's go.
Also gotta change the permit. I'm sorry.
Move forward with that, that'd be grand.
Can I add something to that one, but kind of related, but not? So I had sent Maureen an email, I think she talked to Matt about it, about the no parking behind Manny's. Cause
Mhm.
currently there's no parking signs there, so I would assume we need another local law for that area too.
The south side of Fillmore,
South side of Fillmore. That block,
from Church, you're just talking from Church to
Riley.
Riley, right?
correct. So there's marked parking spots on one side, the other side doesn't have no parking spots. But they're not marked, it'd be very tight there, but there's nothing keeping people
Are
from
they
parking
marked on
there.
the north side and not the south side?
Right,
Yes,
right.
correct.
I feel like I see.
I thought they were
Maybe it's
marked
just
on
for
both
events, I
sides,
see
but
cars
yeah.
On the south side of Fillmore.
There's
Right,
not
but-
marked parking spots,
There's not
but
marked.
there's also no parking signs. But
Right.
if you did park there, you
I mean.
probably
for-
couldn't get a car through that street.
For any special events, we do put no parking on the south side because you can't, especially for
With the
like
bus?
Music Fest or the
Mhm.
setup for the 4th of July or the
Shuttle
July
and
parade.
fire truck.
You can't have people parked on both sides because you can't get traffic in both directions going. So it would make sense just to make
Make
that
it all the time.
side, no
Mhm.
parking all the time.
Yeah.
With the park.
Isn't it already in the code though?
I don't know.
I don't believe it.
Because I pulled up the parking plan on the village website and it shows parking on both sides.
Right. And when that Blue Eyed Baker opens, it's gonna be crazy
Yeah.
over there.
Yeah,
Yes.
Well, you might think about having no parking on the north side. And then have
But there's
the
more
parking on the
parking.
south because you might be able to fit more cars on the south side.
Well,
Yeah, but the
And then you've
north
got-
is where the,
Because there's a bus stop there.
there's a bus
Yeah,
stop there.
and the bus stop is there too on the other side, yeah. On the north side. yeah.
yep.
Mhm.
I think it's set up fine. It just needs a no parking sign.
So we gotta pass that as a local law too.
Yep.
Everybody okay with that?
Yes.
Yep.
All right, please move forward with that. All right, we done with the no parking? Went on to department head report, Shane?
Lexipol's meetings, we're having 1 2-hour meeting every week. Doing probably anywhere between 4 and 6 policies a week. So hopefully, sometime in July or sooner, we'll have our new manual completely done. It's phenomenal. We're gonna have policies that I never even thought of having before. It's gonna be well worth the cost. That's it.
Great. Thank you. Matt?
With the nice weather, we've been doing some more tree work, trying to get caught up on that from what didn't get done this past season. And also, we're doing some building maintenance. Other than that, we're just gonna wait for it to snow again.
Thanks for handling that storm as well as you did.
Thank you.
And Rich?
I guess, just, follow up on the special use application for the B&B. We did send out notices. We try to go to the website listings to find people who are listing their, properties. We sent out, violation notices to, I believe, 12, if I'm not mistaken, for, in the town. And, this one so far is the first one, but I have to assume some already had to pull their listings. And others are working through the application process, so this might not be the last one we see in regards to it. But otherwise, everything else is going well with the department.
Thank you, Rich. Great.
I've been meeting a lot with the new fire chief, going through policies and procedures, and I just wanted to note that it was really nice to see that he's really taking an effort to learn what's correct and do things in a correct manner. The other big thing that I have going on is in order to do the windows at the police station and to do the recreation building, we called the engineers and they said we're going to need an architect. So we either need to research getting an architect, or because of the need to do these more quickly, we may select an architect because it is a professional service, and maybe see how they do with a project and pick them that way if it's a known architect. So I'm not really sure what the board wants to do with that.
What is the, how many windows are we doing at the police station?
All of them.
What's the involvement of the architect for?
They're gonna have to put a bid together. They're gonna have to
Oh, they're putting the
measure them, make sure they're the right ones. We gotta we're putting in different types of windows. We gotta do air conditioning that is set up the right way for the fact that all the windows will now be sealed. They won't be able to be opened.
Is that by law?
No,
Well,
but
like-
to have wall resistant, you can't have it open. So, and that's just on the first floor. The second floor
Okay,
could be
you'll
more
do
consistent.
operable windows.
And that's, I mean, all of that information is well beyond me. I don't know enough about windows to be able to do that. nor do I think I should.
Wait, so we need an architect for the windows,
Mm-hmm.
and then what about the bump out in the park?
The bump out of the park, because there's plumbing and all of that stuff that needs to be drawn, according to Matt.
You need to. How far away is the plumbing, Matt?
Front of the players building. Front line.
In front, like the driveway side from Grove or whatever that is.
Done.
So that's where the main comes from. You just come off of that and go.
Yes.
And we're gonna have
And
someone else.
that's a definite drawing thing. You can't just say, we're gonna go 30 feet that way and 20 feet that way, or
Could do it,
that's what I know you could.
but. Think about other things that-
Considerations.
So we could, what, we could do an RFP, or we could just pick a local, we don't have an in-house architect or something that we traditionally use, but I know the town used, Fontenay's, Foltz and Albrecht and Ernst to do this building, so we dealt with them for that. And I know Don Albrecht walks around the park all the time, he lives right over there by the park, so I think he'd be pretty invested in the community, but I don't really have a preference, that's kind of all I know about local architect.
Yeah, I don't have a preference, so I'm willing to do either. I just feel like we have a need to go quickly to get the park done in spring early. But if everybody wants to wait, you can too, but that's the only thing. I feel like if we're interviewing and all of that, it's gonna take a while. So I don't know if there's people who want to be on a committee to help pick somebody, or if we just want to say, let's try this because that's who the town uses, or let's try this because this project happened once before. Do you have any comment, Chris?
Sorry, I was reading about the parking.
Oh, I just thought you had a comment. I thought that's what you were trying to tell me.
No.
That's okay. I don't think there's, our purchasing policy says the exception to the bidding and everything is professional services. This is clearly a professional service. So we
Sure.
have the option to do it how we want to do it. I think if we had more time, we'd probably go more with a thorough RFP, but I think,
What kind of money are we talking about?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What kind of money are we gonna spend on something like this?
It's a percentage of total budget.
Mm.
I would say, well, it's normally less than 20%, but I'm not sure.
Well, we're just putting up
You
the
think it's more?
shell of the building first,
Well, you gotta do the.
sans the
You
plumbing,
have to do
so.
the plumbing.
But they're gonna, we need the architect to tell us, but we have,
Talk as long as we're not hiring your company or discussing the hiring
know,
of your company.
phase one is just
Do
to
we-
get the structure
We
up.
need an architect?
And then
Probably.
eventually, get the plumbing, the fixtures installed, get that all taken care of. And the DPW, I think, Matt, you guys would do that part of it, the installation of the fixtures.
You just need plans for permanent.
Yeah, you just want the plans, right? So you know who, what, where, why, and
So that's
something to follow a roadmap for you
Right up
guys.
plans?
Here, let's just send it.
Right?
No, I'm
Yeah.
just an owner of an architecture engineering firm.
Oh, yeah.
Percentage of the total project.
To draw up a plan?
Yeah.
It's crazy. That's why I was saying we don't need it.
That's why I'm big.
Because they
fan.
have
gonna
to
be
do all the
nuts.
bids and all of that.
Oh,
Their names on it, right?
Yeah.
I don't know how that works. I'm just
I mean,
asking.
the engineers always come out at
Make
20%.
plans.
So I would assume it's going to be around there, but that's just a guess based on my practice with
I
the
don't know architect
engineers.
numbers as well, but I would assume somewhere around there.
Oh, if we need to do it, we need to do it.
Yeah.
We got a favorite they want to throw out there?
Heather Nemec's good. She's local. She's done some work around here that, Rick's on Main, and I'm just throwing a local name out.
Yeah.
Well, I mean.
Why don't
if
we
they
bounce some
come here,
emails,
yeah,
look around in our contacts?
The guy
whoever,
here, I would think.
And
is
then
good.
send some
Yeah.
emails.
Timeline
out.
like,
Well, I'm more concerned about the park just because we want to get it done in the spring. The police station, I mean, technically could wait a little longer, although Shane might hurt me. But
I would think the park one's pretty small potato.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. That's why I was suggesting if we had somebody who we tried them to see if we liked them, and then that
If you
could
want to
be
try the
part of
guys
it.
that do it for the town,
Yeah.
that did this building and just see, and if we like them, then we use them for the police, if we don't like them, then we switch. I mean, we gotta-
That's your guys' decision, but I'm
Forward, or
okay with that.
I'll wait 2 more weeks and I'm good with it.
No, that's fine.
I'm good with it.
Suits me.
Okay, so I'll give them a call and let you guys know the details, and then we can discuss it more once I have details.
Thank you. Okay. All right. Anything else, Maureen? All right. Kristen,
Nothing tonight.
Grace,
Oh, thank you.
Ernie,
Steve and I attended the Parks Committee meeting and it was very productive. And discussed a lot of wants and a lot of things that we need to do. And Steve, you want to chime in? Anything that you, Parks Committee?
Yeah, it was a great meeting. We have a lot of great active people. The Kiwanis, I believe, are responsible for the pavilion. Is that it? They will take on this year is going to be their president's project will be fixing up the pavilion. And I believe it's the Lions Club that sponsors an equipment shed or something is that on the park, and they are. Jeff said he would go down with me. We'd make a list as to what we want to see happen there, roof, siding, or tear it down, rebuild, whatever. And they will put it forth in next month's vote for the Lions Club to do that this year as well. We're making a plan to change the master plan, or I should say update. not change.
Update and adjust.
Update and adjust it to what's been done and where we moving.
And there's some things, some items need to be taken out. For example, the $2 million community center doesn't need to be in
The
there.
$2 million bathroom.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Get
there
rid of
are,
that.
there are things that we're going to delete. And there's some things we want to add, but we're pleasantly surprised as to how much of it has been completed.
Yeah.
You guys
Yeah, we've
have
been
gotten
doing a lot.
through really.
Mhm.
You know, we discussed the pickleball courts,
Yeah.
noise abatement. We,
Oh, that was one thing. Jeff said that you have a quote for the fabric and the installation to get that done. Could you present that or forward that to us? We were looking on that, what that number would be. Also, we were debating whether we should actually bring in that expert that does the sound abatement.
and he's something like
Consultant.
$5,000 or something to come in and do
So-
sound abatement,
Yeah.
testing.
And,
Okay,
and
Pittsburgh.
And I guess that, you want to know all the nuts and bolts and the true numbers, decibels. We could hire them, but is that, we have to do something anyway, right? Get rid of them, keep them, put up the abatement, reduce the number. We were
We
kind
had
of leaning
discussed
towards
having
keeping-
having the courts, half the courts be badminton
Mhm.
and just simply put
Taller.
taller posts in.
So,
It's badminton.
right,
Two pickleball, two bed.
right, instead
Done.
of all pickleball.
Well,
Yeah.
what we didn't foresee was that the 4 pickleball courts together is, I guess, not something that is available. And so that Pickleball Association of Western New York.
Right.
Got all excited about it, and then they all flooded there, and they all talked and said, let's all play, we can all play together.
Right.
Right, I mean, so
do tournament.
if it was just normal residential use, I don't think we would have gotten into this jam. But it was just the intense use of them
Well, it's
there, every
also-
7 a.m.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
playing.
the residents behind have also mentioned that the real problem was the intensity. Some of these guys are, semi-pro. The smacking of the ball harder, louder, with more force, versus, a family playing,
Right.
there's a difference.
And the
then-
number, it's the sheer
And the
number.
numbers.
So you got 20, you got 60
volume.
60 people able to play. They come with one, they come with 20 and they do the round
They're
robin.
all
So
competitive
it's
players.
continuous, they're competitive.
Sun up to sundown.
and Sun up to sundown.
So
So
there's lots of pairs of courts everywhere. So we go down to 2 badminton and 2 pickleball, that should alleviate that.
That'll
problem.
alleviate it.
It's just by, Molly suggested to close it down to 2 courts, right? The problem went away. I mean,
Right.
was
well,
also
it minimized,
small.
it minimized it and the residents are saying that it's much, much better. And in comparison, the other thing I did in the last month is reach out to Erie County to put pickleball courts.
Mhm.
So let's do 4 there and deflect that up there.
Thanks.
So I'm,
Good end around, Steve.
I'm trying to stimulate something there, whether it's gonna go anywhere, who knows? But So that was the gist of the meeting, that and the sled thing, which we all thought was a great idea.
We also discussed the lighting. One of the members has the schematics for the lighting in the park. And,
Yes.
and the diagram as to where there, the lines go to repair those that are now, broken, damaged, get the lighting repaired. Around the pavilion, around the players building, and then up around through the woods, through the grove. And that's something else we want to try to address, is improving that. And then I think Jeff said something about Matt putting millings down. The access to the players.
To the players building.
Yeah,
Do that every year.
okay. But eventually we'd like to see if we can get a hard surface in there so that it's easier for people with wheelchairs and walkers and people dropping.
You repaint. Or just up.
The path down in the area in front of the door.
I think that was it, right, Steve?
Yeah.
I do have to make a comment on that. The volunteer organizations that want to do repairs to the pavilion and to the Lions Club thing, they do need to submit something to the board because they can't just do what they want to them. So they have
Okay.
to submit something so the board can approve it.
Form, or is it just like, we want to do A, B, and C, will you approve it?
Yeah, it can be
So I'll reach out.
Basic.
I'll obtain that and we'll get someone here prior to that.
perfect. They can contact me if there's any questions too.
So that's it for me.
Right. Jeffrey?
Good.
Molly?
I'm good too.
Well, we did this meeting.
See what
I'm
you said.
good. What he said,
What would he said?
hit already. I'm good.
Great, I just wanna thank Shane and I'm sure Maureen had some input in that as far as the budget preparation, so thank you for always running such a tight ship with that again, we appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right.
Usually this is where I invite people to come to the budget meeting on Saturday, but there's nobody here either, so.
What do you call? Coffee and donuts, Dave.
8:30.
Yeah, come on out.
We bring that, we pay for that for you as a service.
What a guy.
1.5 per person. So,
All right. It is 8:08. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
so moved.
Moved by Steve, second.
Second.
Second by Jeff, all in favor?
Hi.
Bye.
Meeting's adjourned, thank you.